We're calling this a bonus episode of the podcast because the format is quite different than what we usually do, but we wanted to get some of this information out there, and also we're celebrating Kendall's dad's birthday today, so happy birthday, Scott. This episode is about the man weekends. That's what the Clark family calls the boys-only trips to a very rustic part of New England. It's family property, and the guys go up there to drink beer and sit around the fire, drink some more beer, fish, maybe have some beer, and then finish the evening off with some more beer. Kendall went on 2 of these weekends, and the first part of this podcast, he's going to talk about that. The second part of the episode is, I'll just say it, it's a bit of a mess, but it was me recording some of the guys from the man weekend at Kendall's uncle's place on Cape Cod before he moved to the Carolinas. So you've got me on there, Kendall's brother Chris, his uncle Sean, Kendall's dad Scott, and a good family friend Jameson. And they kind of talk over each other, but I did my best to interview these guys while they were drinking beer, doing shots, and watching the Red Sox in the World Series. So here you go. This is the Man Weekend. Welcome to Family Twist, a podcast about relatively unusual stories of long-lost families, adoption, and lots of drama. I'm Corey.
And I'm Kendall, and we've been partners for over 16 years.
So there's family property in New England, and it's not been fully developed, but it's been used over the years for I think what they call the men weekend or the man's weekend or whatever. And so you were invited to one of these weekends by your Uncle Sean. What was your first impression of seeing the family property?
They warned me that it would be primitive, and that
rustic.
Rustic. That's polite. So my grandparents bought the family property back in the 70s, and they planned to put a house on the property as a second place for them to use during the summers,
right?
And hang out,
go fishing and all that stuff. Yeah,
exactly. And there's a lot of hunting that goes on in the family, and so good prospects for that up there and everything. But they never really realized that goal. What they ended up doing was they built a basement, and which kind of looks like a garage that would have been the lower level of the house with the intention of putting a top level on, and they never really did that.
Right.
So the property has electricity, but it doesn't have running water, but it does have a beautiful porta potty.
Outhouse. It's an outhouse.
It's an outhouse. And so it was kind of comical, but I was warned, that if you go, we're going to bring in water to not only drink, but to use to wash your hands. And you've got the porta potty for your convenience. And that's about it.
But they weren't drinking a lot of water on this trip.
There was no need for water.
While I was invited, I didn't go because we've got 8,000 animals at home. And so I thought, okay, well, this is actually a really good opportunity for Kendall to further bond with his brother and his dad and his Uncle Sean. And then they also have, there's some other characters that come along to these men's weekends too. There's
family friends.
Yeah. There's Original Pete and Repeat. Yep. And who else was there at that? Was that all for the
Jameson.
First one?
No. So the first boys' weekend that I went to, my uncle has 3 children, and my cousin Justin is the middle child, and Justin came to that weekend, and it was the first time, of course, that I ever got to meet him.
Right.
Which was wonderful to finally meet one of my 3 cousins on my dad's side. And Jameson is Justin's best friend from grade school and on, and Jameson came too, and he's a great guy. So it was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, we'll hear from Jameson later in this episode. He's quite a character.
Yep.
So okay, so you're there. It's this rustic area. It's the boys' weekend. What goes down during a boys' weekend? What happens?
Yeah. So when I arrived, my brother Chris and I rode up to the property in Lyman, New Hampshire together. And that was in itself exciting because I had never really been through the White Mountains. I had never really seen the spot where the old man in the mountains face fell off. So it was really, right. It was kind of it was neat to be, he was pointing out things that he's known about all of his life and really got to tell me stories as we drove up. So that in itself was wonderful.
And maybe the first time you guys ever spent time together alone, really.
That's probably true. Honestly. Yeah. It's one of the few times for sure, because this would have been in October of 2018 after you and I moved here in January of 2018 to New England. I hadn't had the opportunity to be around my brother that much yet at that point in time, but it was wonderful. And we drive up to the property and he's like, I bet Uncle Sean already has all the tents up. Sure enough, we drive up and we pull up and all you see are all these tents around. And I was a little bit confused. I knew that we were probably going to sleep in a tent, but then it just dawned on me. I was like, well, if there's this basement that is enclosed, why are people not going to sleep in it? And Chris immediately laughed and said, oh, well, Pete and Repeat. So that's father and son. They always sleep in there and they snore so loudly that nobody else could possibly sleep in there with them. So that was actually the plan that night.
Right. And there was, I think at the time, and it's gone now, but there was like this old camper that was on the property that was like, I don't know, probably overrun with mice and everything else. And that's where your dad slept, right?
Yep. Keeping it classy. Yeah, you're right. There were the old travel trailer that my grandparents apparently bought around the same time that they bought the property was still sitting there. And Uncle Sean had come early to try to smoke bomb it to try to get rid of at least half of the insects that had taken over. And it was comical. I remember opening the door to it and saying, oh, no, thank you. It was scary, but my dad was not scared at all and was like, oh, it'll be fine. What's a couple of insect bites? And so he is the only person who slept in that contraption overnight. The rest of us did sleep in tents or in that weird basement room that Pete and Repeat slept in. The whole idea behind the weekend was just to have fun. Really, we played a lot of cornhole. We drank a lot of alcohol and sat around the fire and just really had a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, and this being an example of how wonderful a partner I am, I wanted to meet Justin too. So I ended up driving up the next day. They were staying for 2 nights, and just so I could meet everybody, and literally like the amount of time that it's kind of safe for us to be gone and leave the dogs at home alone without them needing to do their business is probably like 6 hours. And so literally I drove up there, met everybody, hung out for about 45 minutes, and then drove right back.
That's right. But it really meant a lot to Justin that you did that, because he didn't know me well yet.
Sure.
And it just meant a lot that you wanted to connect with the family that way.
Right.
So I'm so glad that it worked out that you could do that. And I think it shows the level of commitment that you and I together have to the whole Clark family.
Sure. So you went to 2 of these boys' weekends, and Uncle Sean recently sold his family property on Cape Cod and moving down south. And so he wanted to do one more like sort of boys' weekend / hurrah type things at his house. And Kendall had to end up working that weekend. So I thought, okay, well, this is an opportunity for me to at least get a feeling of what this was like. And I thought, oh, hey, it's also a good opportunity to get some content for the podcast. Yep. And I'd been to his property once before, just a beautiful, beautiful place right on the lake. So it was, and unfortunately, Pete and Repeat couldn't make it, but I ended up driving Kendall's dad over to the property, and then Chris joined us and Jameson joined us as well. And despite it being sort of a raucous event, I was able to get some stuff recorded here, and they shared some very funny stories. One, I think Chris was just absolutely impressed so I think they were all like drinking beer pretty much at that first weekend. Well, Kendall's not a beer drinker, so he was drinking wine, and I think he was keeping up with them with glasses of wine for every beer that they had.
It was 1 for 1. Yes,
right. Yes. And at some point, I think when I saw you, when I came to visit, like you had you had a wound on your head because you had fallen in the woods.
I did. Not my finest moment, I'll say, but yeah. I tripped over a log right by the fire. Lucky that my face didn't go into the fire, and did scrape my forehead on a log. So that was, it was a classy moment for me.
We'll talk about some of the parallels between Kendall's birth father and my birth father as the podcast goes along. But we both of our dads were very like outdoorsy hunter types, fishermen, like Kendall's dad has nabbed a bunch of deer over the years. My dad loved to fish and to bow hunt, but I think it's safe to say that we did not inherit those traits.
Yeah, no, I mean, hunting has zero interest for me, and fishing has slightly more importance to me.
I've always thought it to be terribly boring. Yeah. So, of course, as a kid, I wasn't drinking beer as I was doing it. And I think I sort of see like maybe this is why some people like to do it, because it's an excuse to literally do nothing but drink beer.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think most of my dad's Scott's fishing expeditions have just been social. I think they've been a lot of fun, but didn't always end up with fish.
Yeah. So this was pretty comical. I think one of the things Chris's favorite memory of that first boys' weekend is that they all live in Massachusetts. So they're residents of Massachusetts, and Kendall was the only resident of New Hampshire at the time, which meant Kendall had to be the one buying the ammunition from Walmart, which is not something Kendall would ever do.
This is true. That goes against my nature. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's a nice way of saying it.
Yeah. And there's actually a photo that I will not allow Chris to put on Facebook of when I'm standing at the cash register in Walmart buying ammunition for.
I think we've got to share it for social media just for the podcast.
Well, we might do it there because I'm going to have a huge disclaimer under the, because I need to say that I'm not a fan of Walmart, and I definitely am not a fan of buying ammunition.
When did the boys' weekends up at the family property start?
About 40 years ago.
Okay.
40 years ago.
Since the first one.
Yeah, since about 40 years. Yeah.
Probably since I was 10 or 11.
Yeah.
No, 38, 39.
No, we were doing it for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was.
Mom and Dad left it to us.
Yeah.
But those weren't man weekends.
No, they didn't leave it to us. I bought it from them.
But those weren't man weekends. Those were.
Why did they try? We started in 1976 having parties up there.
Yeah.
Parties or orgies?
Well,
Party.
there was a lot of fucking going on, no doubt.
Had Scott build a couple shacks in those?
That's
all they have up there. Haven't
He
you been
woke up one night thinking I was a girl and started to bum blast me.
Now, this is a fucking story. Who's bum blasting who? What's going on here?
He had a mouse in his fucking sleeping bag.
And I did, true.
Sean, is that you?
It was a chipmunk.
No, we started going up there in 1976 for the hydroplane races.
Yep.
When I bought the property from my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that wasn't until the
And I bought the property across the street, a big acre and a half.
Yeah, you did. You had property up top of the hill.
Yeah.
Never used it.
Never used it because I
Just love paying that tax bill.
No, but I did pay my taxes. But I sold it for a profit, so I
That's
did
good.
a little.
Yeah, no, he did okay on that. I mean, the property value up there has gone from. I bought the property up there from my parents for what they paid.
Basically a camp.
My parents paid $16,000 for it.
In those days,
almost 50 years ago.
Yeah,
And
excellent.
then I bought it 20 years later, and I paid them $16,000 for it.
And that you can't beat.
And I sold it to Justin for $16,000.
So he's going to take it
You
over.
didn't even want to make like $1,000 off the kid.
But that was on the soul.
Hey, you're right.
On
He
the
raised
soul.
them. By God, he should get paid back.
That was on the sole agreement that
you get to
he
use
kept it in the family.
Right. That means you'll
Forever.
sell to Shane for $16,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Shane or no one should have a lot of. Is the trailer still up there?
No, we took that out.
Oh, I thought.
Just the foundation now.
Yeah.
No, there's a roof on the front.
Yeah. True. Still the same camp, but
Yeah,
no,
but you.
the grill is
go
still
there.
up
Go during the spring or summer.
Yeah.
Not during the winter.
All the utensils are still hanging out the tree. They always are.
Yeah.
No, that tree fell down. No way. I was up there about a month ago. Yeah.
That's why they call it fall.
Our utensil tree.
The way to the utensils front end. Oh shit!
I never thought that tree was going to.
I didn't know. It was
That's surprising.
Yeah, it was down.
The one that the table was.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, all where our workstation is.
Sales on 30 already, man.
Second inning?
Yep.
No way.
Does anybody go up there and tend to that outhouse?
No.
No, it's
Well,
Does anybody tend to it, whether they're up there or not?
Never.
No,
It's just nothing but disgustingness.
it's just a whole.
How does the pond get overflowing?
It's a
It
whole.
gets back to the environment. It's in the dirt.
Because you only use it so freaking
Snow goes over.
Yeah, no, and I pour lime in it before I leave. Absolutely. And it just deteriorates.
Yeah.
Just eats it.
It's organic matter.
Right.
It just goes into the soil.
I mean, we
Probably
use
some
the
really
other.
good moss.
We use the other outhouse
It
for
runs into the stream.
35 years.
It runs into the stream.
Yeah.
You're just drinking water for a little bit.
Yum yum.
It's true. It hasn't run water for a long time.
Yeah, you got plenty of nutrients. That's some quality H2O. High quality H2O.
So there's 6 or 7 guys up there. Everybody's drinking heavily and eating crap food.
No, we usually eat good food. Very good. I mean, we usually eat
We
a
eat
lot.
so much.
But I mean food that would like run through you.
No.
yeah.
It's the opposite. We eat so much food that we can't crap for 2 days.
Okay, so there's not a lot of crap.
It's usually, it's
No.
just, and then we start
fucking
finding
meat.
it's a protein blast. It's a protein
Yes.
blast.
Okay.
Wish I had diarrhea.
No, but we always had peppers and onions and shit.
Yeah, that's it too. But it's
That's what I'm wondering. Is like,
it's
what is
masked by all the meat. Like,
Onions, onion and peppers.
what do you do if you got to go into the outhouse and unload?
Explode, baby. You
Yeah.
go explode.
Sean explodes up there twice every morning.
I built that damn
Is
shit
there
out
toilets?
with Sean.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
How do you clean your hands?
It's
They have like multiple rolls of
They've got
How do you clean your hands with some dirt? You just slap the dirt
No,
on.
but there's a pump station.
Now I'm gonna wipe my butt.
Yeah.
That's how you build your immune system. Is up north.
Yeah, lick
Shove
your
dirt
fingers
up
after
your
you take a
butt.
big
Yeah.
you'll
Yeah.
never get
No,
cancer.
you shove your fingers up.
Say hi to
You
the
wipe your ass and you
You
go
say-
have breakfast.
while you're taking
God.
a shit, you talk to the huge
Is her name
Looking
Sandy?
at you.
Right.
God. When your dad was up there, I wasn't up there.
So we went to Walmart and we get to Walmart and no one's got a fucking license.
New Hampshire ID.
Oh, okay.
So none of us can buy ammo. None of us can buy ammo.
Right.
Oh, because you got
Kendall had to buy
you gotta buy it.
So I have a picture of Kendall buying ammo.
No.
And
He wouldn't shoot the gun, but he bought the ammo.
I got you, motherfucker! And then he's like,
He probably never touched a gun in his life. He's
Yeah,
like, what the
Joe.
fuck?
He's like, don't keep that. I was like,
Yeah, fuck you. NRA, yeah, baby. Look at that guy buying
I am
shells.
seriously gonna find that picture right now.
Wouldn't pick up the gun, but he bought the shells.
So you have to have a license,
You have to have a New Hampshire,
a New Hampshire license to buy ammo in New Hampshire.
No,
In New Hampshire,
you
yeah.
get
Okay.
the license and then you go get the gun. Don't go and get the gun and go without a
Oh,
license.
no, he's talking about buying ammo
Buying
in
ammo.
New Hampshire.
Oh,
You have a New
ammo's
Hampshire
fine.
license.
Oh, ammo's
Buy ammo.
fine.
You just need a New Hampshire's license. When it came to what you wanted me to be, in terms of
You turned out well.
no, but going out hunting and fishing and things
I
like
know.
that.
You didn't want to kill animals. I understand.
So, but how did you feel about me with that stuff? Like, dude,
Well,
were you,
no,
were you
it's
angry?
your-
Were you upset? Were you
First of all,
disappointed?
it's your choice, not mine.
Yeah.
But you like fishing, didn't you? When you did, you
Not until the last 2 years. I didn't really, like, I'm 49. I didn't really enjoy it until the last 2 years.
That's good.
Yeah.
And the kids get out to do it too. Which
Yeah.
you know, use worms in a bobber, and you're gonna get frights all the time.
Yeah, yeah. I always wondered if you were disappointed in my commitment to hunting or fishing. That's all.
No, that's fine. You didn't like
thought you
me
were
killing
disappointed.
deer,
Right.
and I understand that because even my wife was saying, "You have to kill that beautiful animal." I said, "Yeah, hell yeah, we're putting them on steaks tonight."
I remember when I was like 7, Dad shot a rabbit, right?
Yeah.
And I was hunting with him when we did it.
Okay.
We shot the
It
rabbit.
was a jackrabbit. The hare.
Brought it home. He says, "Anna, we're gonna eat rabbit tonight."
Rabbits too, right?
She
It
said,
was excellent.
"You killed Thumper! You killed Thumper! How dare you think you're gonna make us eat Thumper?"
She knew I knew how to hunt.
But Thumper's right over there.
And I said,
Yeah.
that might have been the first time in my life that I thought, my dad's not fully in charge right now. Because he buried it in the fucking backyard.
You didn't even eat Thumper.
No.
Oh, God.
He fucking buried it.
The bird shot was all inside him.
What the hell are you hitting them with bird shot for?
Because I was
It was
bird
probably
hunting.
bird season.
It was bird season.
Well, you know,
The bird didn't go up, but here comes stupid.
But a rabbit,
And I remember being in my backyard going,
a rabbit's so good with full bird shot. You use a 22 on rabbits, not bird shot.
You can't. It's against the law.
I'm really going to miss this opportunity to continue these if Uncle Sean is moving down south and doesn't get to come up as often.
Right.
We're really hoping that we get to continue these voice weekends.
Yeah, the nice thing is that the property is staying in the family. And there are plans to actually finally finish building that house. And hopefully, like in the next year or two, that'll be a cool place for us to visit with our friends and your brother and your sister.
Right. Yeah. No, because it is beautiful. And while we'll need to take care of some poison ivy situation on the property, and it's lovely up there, and it really makes me feel even more connected to my grandparents, having never met, because the house that they lived in on Cape Cod is still standing, but it's not owned by anybody in the family.
Yeah.
Whereas at least this property is still in the family, and I can go visit it and feel connected. This is the Family Twists podcast, hosted by Kendall and Corey Stultz, with original music by Cosmic Afterthoughts, and produced by Outpost Productions and presented by Savoir Faire Marketing Communications. Have a story you want to share? Visit FamilyTwistPodcast.com. All our social media links are there as well.